which she is intently watching. So anyway, away we go. So a couple of things. I know Mark Topkin kind of outed Fred Ridley and Dan Doyle, but he didn't. I think he kind of danced around it. There are reports, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'm going to do this right now, and I'm sure Mark will attribute it to our show or not.
Sure.
Fred Ridley and Dan Doyle are confirmed members of the group. So when he wrote, there are reports. Yes, this is, I'm not exactly sure what his verbiage was, but anyway, it's confirmed. It is absolutely, I can now, they've been told I can't confirm it. Mark had it first. I totally admit that. He scooped me on that story, but I kept quiet because that's what I said I would do until they let me know. I'm not sure how he got it, but good for him. And I can confirm that they are definitely 2 members of the group. I'm working on confirming the entire group. Getting a go-ahead might come during the show. It might not. So yeah, that is confirmed. So now what does that mean? Well, as we said yesterday, if you don't know, Fred Ridley is the chairman of Augusta National, and it's quite frankly one of the most powerful positions on the planet. There's no billionaire on this planet that he cannot pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I'm Fred Ridley.
Yeah,
give me $300 million for something." Yeah. The answer would be yes, I can. Yes, I would love to be your business partner, 100%. As would all Major League Baseball owners, absolutely. I was hanging out with Orestes Destrada yesterday, talking ball. We went to Riveters for a couple hazy IPAs, some chicken wings, and he had the most amazing burger. I got to put these pictures up. He had the most amazing burger of all. I love the wings so much and the prime rib sandwich. I haven't had a burger there yet.
Oh wow!
And it was like, when you can smell a good burger.
Yeah,
like you could smell the Angus meat. Like it's that smell of charred, really good meat on a grill. That's what she brought it out. Christine brought it out. She put it down. It's like, and you could just, the wafting of the smell was like, oh, I want to eat that burger. But I'd already had like 30 wings, so I'm like, no, I'm good. So, which were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Happy hour wing. By Wing Wednesday. It was Wing Wednesday. It's better than happy hour. Happy hour, you get 8 for $12. Wing Wednesday, you get 5 for $5. Dollar wings, like real wings, the big ones, the fresh ones, not frozen. 5 for $5. We don't talk about that enough. And of course the hazy IPA, their new microbrew, is just to die for. Usually I'll just do 2 IPAs. I told you this yesterday. I'm good. Little beer buzz. Third one went down. There comes number 4. Grand slam. Woohoo! Yeah. So, but we sat there and talked ball and had a great time. And I'm trying to explain to him, because O's not a big golfer. He doesn't know who Fred Ridley is for the most part.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He doesn't understand. I should say he knew what, he doesn't understand it. Like he doesn't understand. And I'm sitting here trying to explain it to him. And it just comes to me as like, unless you know, you just don't know. It's hard. You cannot really express to somebody, what that means, what that position means.
Right.
And what kind of clout it carries. It's just because it's all intertwined in the magic that is Augusta National and the Masters. And that magic is oftentimes hard to explain to people who don't know and don't get it. You have to sit there and watch the Masters from the time you're 4 years old and watch every round for the rest of your life to really understand the magnitude of how most people feel about it. I'm not saying everybody has to feel that way. That's not what I'm saying. But the people who understand the Masters, and most really rich people do that. They understand it. They understand what it means. It's like, you're Bill Gates. You can buy anything. You can't buy into Augusta. Yep. Nope. It's going to take some time if you ever get in at all. College football coaches have taken jobs to get Masters memberships. It's but beyond something you can really talk about. But what does it mean? It means, first of all, and we talked about this yesterday, Fred Ridley is just one of the most outstanding human beings you'll ever meet in your life. He just is, and that's why he's the chairman of Augusta National, because he was an amateur champion, last amateur champion that did not turn pro.
Yep.
He is a very well-credentialed attorney, a member of the board of trustees at University of Florida, widely regarded as one of the smartest and kindest and most wonderful people you will ever meet in your life. And what he's done at the Masters in Augusta to open it up to the women's amateur and the bring it into the 21st century, frankly, is amazing. And I never thought I would see it, but it's opened up, it's while still keeping the Masters as special and exclusive. That makes it magical. He's also opened it up to people to maybe get a little bit more a taste of it. So,
right.
And Major League Baseball owners, and this is what I've been telling you guys for what, since February, right? When I found out that Fred was part of this group and Dan Doyle and eventually Zalupski added to it, and we'll get more. Is that you're going to love these people. You're going to love these people. They are Tampa Bay people. They have done so much in the Tampa Bay area. I mean, Fred Ridley has worked with the first team, and you don't know all the things that Fred's done here and the money that he's raised in this area because he's very low profile, and he wants to keep it that way. But he has raised millions of dollars, helped raise millions of dollars for the first tee that has done the short course at Rogers Park, all the renovations to Rogers Park, which is our inner city public golf course that has mentored thousands of young kids that would never get to play golf and never get to some of the lessons, the life lessons that they teach in the first tee that have made them all incredibly successful people. And it's those opportunities. And this is the type of person Fred is. And this is the type of people that the public will wrap their arms around here when it comes to making votes on stadiums, etc. So that's why Major League Baseball loves this group. This is why they've been backing this group. This group didn't offer the most money.
Yeah.
Other groups may have offered more money, but you don't, baseball doesn't know who they are for the most part. Hadn't vetted them. Not that they're bad people at all. Mr. DeBartolo. I mean, these are Joe Malloy, great folks, great people, man. They are, and all the people in that group, fantastic local people. And so, but that to me, that wasn't really their issue. It was like, you don't have some of the political connections that this group has. And Fred Ridley being amongst them. So I think it's just a little, that doesn't mean the other group was not great. It was fantastic,
right.
But this is the group, Major League Baseball. And there's a lot more reasons that I'm not even aware of. But I think the number one reason is they can get a deal done in Tampa, a stadium deal done in Tampa. And as Hagan said, they're prepared to pay as much as 60% for the stadium, which leaves 40% for the developer and the city and the county and the state with infrastructure to pick up. That's not hard. That is not a tough deal. And it's certainly a great return on investment.
Yep.
The St. Pete deal, you're talking, there was over $700 million in cash up front with interest, $1.3 billion that the city of St. Pete and Pinellas were going to have to pay for the stadium. And in terms of cost of not collecting real estate taxes and the cost of giving away the real estate to Stu Sternberg, who's already a billionaire, who's been mocking your city for decades, the total cost was $2.4 billion to the city and the county. Like, that's why we called it the greatest boondoggle in history. $2.4 billion. That's more than Miami, who currently holds the record for the biggest boondoggle in the history of sports. We'd run right past them. So thank God Stu couldn't come up with the money. And it's just. So I was talking with a businessman last night who's doing a deal in St. Pete, a restaurant deal in St. Pete, just got permitted, and he's like, "Hey, St. Pete doesn't need baseball. All the business owners there are like, boy, we dodged the bullet there. We'd much rather have a convention center where there's not 81 days a year traffic just spewing into and people that some just come in and come out." Yeah, the business people in St. Pete are over the moon. I'm sure Mark Ferguson is not. Ferg's made a lot of money off the Rays. I'm sure he's not, but most are. Most are like, okay, now we can really get going. And let's, can we just get rid of this Trop right now and not have to play here for 4 more years, and we can develop this land into a convention center that'll really make us all money? Yeah, that's what they want to do in St. Pete. So I already got questions here this morning from Mike H, who said, with the sales agreement, does this agreement in place, does this lock Stu out of making trades? And could the new ownership make trades before the deadline, which is before the final sale in September? Eric Neander is happy now. I would think he is. I don't know that for sure, but, I would think he is. But I don't know the exact answer to that, but I've been told that there are already Major League Baseball folks and new ownership folks that are working within the organization for transition purposes.
Right.
But I would think, and you could correct me on this, Tim, this is back in history. I do remember, and I can't cite the example right now, but I remember when new ownership groups were coming in, that there were moves that were made, and it was like, yeah, this had to be okayed by new ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the deal is done. So now, I think if they wanted to make a move at the deadline and add payroll, that they absolutely would sign off on that. I think maybe it's a sign-off thing. Like, hey, Eric would say, hey, look, this is a 4-year deal. We're getting my fantasy world. We're getting Acuna. When you want to sign off on $17 million over the next 3 years, oh, hell yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that's possible. I don't know for a fact, but I think that's very much possible, and that's what I've been told. So that's my final answer.
Yeah, no, that's very common. That's very common. And it's only right. I mean, it's only the right thing to do, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Now, and this is why Major League Baseball has been inside the organization for quite some time, because they did not want Stu to sell off assets to just get cash and whatnot. That's And and it's another thing. You don't hear anything from Stu. There have been no statements. He's not even talking to the Times. That's because Major League Baseball said, don't just take your money and go. And that's obviously what's happening here. Mike H also suggests, JP, I know you don't want to hear this, and St. Pete is a failed location and the new ownership wants Tampa. What is the possibility St. Pete will pitch a deal with new ownership? 75%? Well, what's the possibility they pitch it? Oh, probably 100%. But nobody's listening.
Right.
Major League Baseball is not going to go through all this shenanigans to have the stadium built. If that's the case, it's the last resort.
Right.
Because I know this group does not want to build in St. Pete. And the reason that they're the preferred group is because they don't want to build in St. Pete. The Malloy group probably had $2 billion ready to go. But their focus had been on St. Pete for the longest time. And when I met with them, I was like, I think really you should look at Tampa, because I think that's what Major League Baseball wants. Now, fact of the matter is, and I told them this, they're probably already too far down the road anyway.
Right.
But they were a great group and would have been great for Tampa, 100%. And if for some reason, and I don't think this is going to happen, but because I know this is a done deal, it were to blow up, these guys would be waiting in the wings, and they would be great owners. It would be a great ownership group. But this group is better I don't want to say better, but it's really, really good. So I don't think St. Pete is now. There's absolutely, some political upheaval in Tampa, and this is something that and I hate to give B any credit, but he does mention a good, and we do this even though sometimes we don't like their opinions. We put it out there because we could discuss it like rational human beings. Imagine. JP, you need Vieira and Wallstall. City and county politicians there will be many, I think he means no votes, will be long and drawn out. Ken Hagen is just one vote. Unfortunately, the vocal minority, he makes you think 100% done. Listen, I understand this is bringing up political issues here. And I think Ken has been very clear about this. And I think his words have been twisted by media many, many times. And for people like B, he has said repeatedly, we are going to protect the taxpayers. And this is always, we've said this a lot, but we'll say it again for those who may not be able to hear what they don't want to hear. The St. Pete deal was a complete boondoggle, as I just outlined. Okay. That's why Stu Sternberg was interested in it. He was never interested in St. Petersburg before. If he's literally said dozens of times, came out of his mouth and Brian Ald's mouth and Matt's, St. Pete is not a major league city. And he was 100% correct, just in terms of the demographics. Doesn't mean, I don't mean major league as in great. It is a great city.
Right.
It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's just not a good place for a baseball team. But this is why they don't want it in St. Pete. Major League Baseball does not want it in St. Pete. But this deal in Hillsborough County is a pay-as-you-go. Okay, it's SITS tax money, CITS, SIT tax, which is community investment tax. And it's only reserved for major infrastructure that brings in tourism, like stadiums. I shouldn't say tourism, but like stadiums, schools, and other things, I believe. So stadiums is one of the things you can spend money on, and that's what they're going to use that money for. So, and it's a lot of money there. And there's bed tax money there as well, which has doubled in the past year. Yes, Pinellas has more, but Hillsborough has a lot of bed tax money to give as well. Then this bed tax money comes out incrementally over 30 years to pay the bonds. That's a lot of years to amortize this over. So it's not huge chunks of money that have to go out. You finance it like anything else. So when it's all done, you're looking at maybe 15 million a year that's going out, and a lot of that money is going to come from bed tax, and also, which is tourists, and also the special taxing districts that he talked about, CDDs, CRCs, which you go in that little area, you pay for a beer and a burger, and at the bottom it says stadium tax or whatever, just like in the Battery, and it's probably 0.05% or something like that. That's a user fee. That's not property tax money. That's a user fee. And that's the way they're going to do this, and you can get it done. There's a lot of money available for that. So, yes, they can get it done. And if Vieira and Wostel are there to be listen, if you make the deal palatable to the public, like Ken is going to do, how can they be against it? Unless you're just, want to be a pain in the ass and you show a incredible return on investment like we have on Raymond James Stadium that we built for $200 million and hosted 3 Super Bowls. I mean, my God, it's the greatest deal in history. So if you show a proper return on investment, which I think they can, especially when you're building and developing around the ballpark, development that what's sitting there right now is a couple of flower silos and a shipyard. Does that create tax revenue? Yes, a little. I think I read this morning in the Business Journal that the planned residential units is 4,700. 4,700 residential units in Ybor Harbor. What's the property tax on that? Holy shizbang. A lot. Like billions over a 30-year period. That's what they did in Atlanta. They tripled the tax base. They built 10 office buildings. There had not been an office building built in Cobb County in 15 years. The Braves moved in. They built 10 of them. What do you think the property tax on that is? Enormous. Enormous. So, yes, if you present a plan that says the tax base on residential areas in this development is going to be X dollars bringing into the county, and we're spending about a quarter of that going out to help build the stadium, who's against that? What politician would be about that? Oh, wait, we put up $250 million, we get back $1 billion over 30 years? Yeah, I'm not for that. What? What? You can't, unless you just want to be an a-hole and be the guy that is not, I'm not giving any money to billionaires. Well, you're not giving them money. They're giving you an opportunity to make money. So, yeah, could there be some political pushback on Ken Hagan? Sure. I don't see that developing. And again, this is what we talked about with Ken. If you go back and listen to the interview, when you have local ownership that people love and can rally around, public support is a lot easier. Getting public support to give $1.3 billion to Stu Sternberg was impossible. And the reason St. Pete wouldn't even take a straw vote, a non-binding straw vote for a stadium, because they knew what the vote would say. 80% against. Ken Welch said, no, we're not going to do that. I don't want to hear from the public on this. What does that tell you? And listen, I would say, would Hillsborough do a straw vote? They better. but we got to outline the plan and get it, get it to the people so they understand what the return on investment is. And I trust Ken Hagan when he says we're going to protect the taxpayer. This is going to be a win-win for everybody. I trust him. You may not. Fine.
Yeah.
I trust him. I know who he is. I know what he's about. He's been in city government for a long time. He's been a friend for a long time. I trust him. I know the people he hangs out with, like Fred Ridley. They're good people. They're trustworthy people. They are not Stu Sternberg. Not even close. So if there is pushback, and there will be, I'm sure, it will be met with reasonable and I think very persuasive arguments. And at that point, if you still want to be that guy, fine. You won't be the majority. I don't know Mr. Vieira, Mr. Wostel, and I've seen them on TV, and they seem like reasonable people. And the things that I've seen them say are, look, prove it to me. And that's absolutely what they should be saying. I want to see the deal. Not these freaking cheerleaders in St. Pete when they signed the deal with and just, pom-poms everywhere without ever having seen anything in writing as to what the financial deal was. Now what do they look like? Let's go run that press conference back. And when I was saying, okay, wait up. Should we not wait to see what's in the details, what the deal looks like? Council person before we're out there with the pom-poms? Let's give $1.3 billion to Stu Sternberg. Yes. What are you getting back? Nothing. Yeah. Okay. I don't think that's a very wise political position, but that's just me. But I get it. You're excited. You think you're going to get the raise. They're going to stay. But I knew who they were dealing with. And I was like, I don't know. If I were you, I wouldn't be that excited. And there were some on the council. I can't remember exactly. It was one of the council women was like, okay, that was not out there with the pom-poms. That was like, let's see what the deal is first before we get all excited. There was some reasonableness there.
Right.
But for most was, woo. So yeah, well, I'm trying to think of what else we need. Another report in the Tampa Bay Business Journal today that the Rowdies are included in the sale. I can confirm that as well. The Rowdies are included in the sale. So we're connecting the dots here. Daryl Shaw, owner of the Sun, which we connected the dots weeks ago when he announced the soccer stadium. And I said, you don't build for, and he said, this is where the Tampa Bay Sun's going to be. I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. But the Tampa Bay Sun, God bless them, champions, woo, awesome stuff. Their first year, they're not filling a 15,000 seat stadium. There's somebody else going to be playing in that stadium, and that's the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So, and we projected at the time, well, maybe Daryl Shaw is part of this deal, and that's the spot that he says. And then he said very quickly thereafter, and Hagan said it on the show, yeah, if baseball comes calling, we'll look for another spot for the soccer stadium. And put the baseball stadium in Ybor Harbor, which is where I think it's going to go. The leader in the clubhouse is Mr. Hagan said on our show. So yeah, and I think that's where it's going to be. Whew, on the water, man, just unbelievable. It's going to be awesome.
Amazing. That's a beautiful site, man. That is a beautiful.
Do you have the renderings?
I don't. I can get them though.
Yeah, just do the old Ybor Harbor search and throw up the renderings. Just awesome. Yeah, so trying to go. Sorry that we already did that one. The B says, no way Fred Ridley approves Sulphur Springs dog track. Guarantee you he's never heard of it. Move on already. I don't think the dog track is in play, but sorry, you'd be wrong about that because Fred is a Tampanian. He's been here all his life and he knows exactly what Sulphur Springs is and Temple Terrace and all those places.
Is that what y'all are called? Tampanians?
Tampons?
Come on. It's not Tampanians, is it?
I've heard Tampanians. I've heard tampons. Right. Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know what the official term is.
Tampasites.
Tampasites? The Tampa Petermans? Tampites?
Tampites.
Yeah, so that's the soccer stadium. There's also one of a baseball stadium too, but that's you see all the residential around there. That's the soccer stadium, which is really cool. Right. And you could build that on across where the old Ybor Ray Stadium was going to go, you could build that right across the Selman Expressway on the other side in Ybor. So you could have two stadiums down there. I don't know why you just wouldn't have the Sun and the Rowdies play in the baseball stadium. To me, that would be, it's not it wouldn't be as intimate, obviously, as this. But hey, if you got the money, sure, do it. I mean, I'll take two stadiums. I'd rather have, if it's my, I'd rather have a soccer specific stadium and a baseball stadium. But I'm really not trying to get greedy right now. Let's just get the baseball thing done. And I think that there would be a great place for the Rowdies to play and the Sun to play as well, because you'd have all the accoutrement. Yeah, so this is the original drawing of the Ybor Harbor baseball configuration. And all this stuff to the left is the residential hotel 4,700 residential, of which 10% would be affordable housing. Still don't understand. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, so this is all these white buildings you see here would be the bars, restaurants, all the different stuff there. And then you got the harbor right there, you got the marina. So right here, this little inlet to the left there is currently kind of an open shipyard, but you could turn that into a green space and all kinds of cool stuff there as well.
It's where JP's going to park his yacht.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we call it the Never Gonna Happen. This would be the name of that yacht. Rather rent than buy, but thank you. Exactly. Yeah, so that's, I mean, could you imagine? And then Brightline Central Station is going to be about 3 blocks north of that. It's coming in from Orlando, and the trolley obviously will go right past that. So you have a trolley stop there, and they're going to extend the trolley up into Seminole Heights. So, and hopefully down into South Tampa, down into extend the trolley down in down Plant Avenue or down Bayshore. Well, I don't think they could do Bayshore. They might be able to do Bayshore. That would be really cool to get that's where the trolley used to be, right down Bayshore. They could do if they have Bayshore trolley all the way to Ballast Point, and people could just jump on. We're there. That would be outstanding. But it would be great to take a trolley all the way to the West Shore area. People be able to get on in the West Shore area and then stop at Midtown, pick up some folks, and then come all the way down to the ballpark in downtown. Man, that's a must do. That's an absolutely must do. We can figure that out. So yeah, I mean that's the beauty of having an urban ballpark as opposed to the fairgrounds, because you can't all that access that you would have by water taxi, which is super cool. And the water taxis pick up all along the river over by Davis Islands. Hell, you bring the ferry over from St. Pete right to the freaking ballpark. How about that?
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. All very, very, very doable. All very, very doable and amazing.
I mean, you have to take advantage of the location with the water in Ybor, right? Like, I feel like a stadium anywhere other than in Ybor, if it's doable, is just a wasted opportunity. Like, you have to utilize that space if you can.
Absolutely.
On the waterfront. You have to.
I mean, and kudos to Daryl Shaw, by the way, because he could have been developing this for quite some time. And and waiting has been a dangerous game for him with this economy and what's going on. A very dangerous game. But I think he's been committed to baseball for quite some time. And he wants to do it. And of course, it's going to increase his value. He knows that. I'm not saying this is a completely altruistic move. But it's something he could have gone and he's already done Gasworks and started that where the original stadium was going to be. But, truth is, we should have done this freaking 6-7 years ago and be living in that thing right now in Ybor City. But whatever. This actually, from where the stadium was going to be in Ybor compared to what this could be, Ybor Harbor, this is better, in my opinion. What's iconic? Yeah. I mean, stadiums on the water are iconic alone, And imagine just that there's a flight path to TIA that goes right over downtown. So you could be flying in, you look to your left, there's Ambly Arena, look to your right, or either one. And you see this iconic, beautiful baseball stadium on the water with the marina around it and all this, this entertainment district around it. I mean, come on.
Devil
And-
rays
and-
swimming in the water all around it.
Oh yeah, and imagine like for big events, Super Bowls, World Series, World Baseball Classic, all those things. I mean, who has a better the river? So now we have the beaches in St. Pete. We have real beaches, the best beaches in the world in St. Pete, an awesome downtown in St. Petersburg with all the bars and restaurants and eclectic stuff there. So we have that to offer for major events. We have, what's going to be a renovated Raymond James Stadium, a renovated Amalie Arena, and now a baseball stadium that's going to be one of the most iconic in baseball, if not the most, on the water in a beautiful growing city, with access, much better access to points east with Orlando, the 15th largest market, and Lakeland in that Polk County, one of the fastest growing areas, all that. And this is why baseball wanted to do it this way. This is why they wanted to do it this way, because it opens it up to so many more fans. These are the things they need. Baseball needs to grow. They don't need to be tucking a stadium and spending, $2.4 billion of public money and cost into a failed location stadium in St. Petersburg. That doesn't move them forward. There's still a very good chance that the Rays would be a welfare team because they couldn't get the premium seating and the attendance. So let it all begin. All right, quick break. When we come back, I'm going to get to Douglas Batista and Nathan Elliott and all you guys. Any comments, questions?